Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Kimberly Cloud Show. I'm your host, Kimberly Cloud. I have a very, very special guest here for the show today. Can you go ahead and announce to the world who you are and where you're calling from?
I'm Adria Goldman Gross, and I've been in the health insurance industry now for over 34 years, and I love what I do.
Great. And I know you really want to go ahead and talk about your past leading up into your present. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about from childhood, middle school, high school, college years, leading up into what you do now.
Thank you, Kimberly. I've had a really interesting life. I grew up in Port Jervis, New York, and I was taking horseback riding lessons. And I'm in school, and all of a sudden, we had I fill out a map and, write down the cities. And I said to the teacher, I said, I'm not feeling well. They think I'm trying to get out of this test. They were very hesitant to let me go. But I walked down the hall and sat down in a chair. A friend of mine walked me down the hall. And as soon as I sat down in the chair, I went into a coma. And I woke up 10 hours later in a hospital. As I'm laying there in the bed in the hospital, I look straight ahead. I see a cross on the wall thinking I'm in heaven. But instead, I wound up in a hospital because I had encephalitis, which is an inflammation of the brain. So from that, believe it or not, for almost 25 years of my life, I lived with epilepsy. And I used to average 18 seizures a month. At one point, I was on 32 pills a day. My life was so difficult. And I just had my third book came out recently. And in the book, it talks about a friend of mine who her parents turned to her. And we were such good friends. And they said to her after I went in the coma and now I had epilepsy, they said to her, don't talk to her anymore. She's sick. And that's in my third book that just came out. But let me go back. So anyhow, I lived with epilepsy, went to college. Every time I used to have a grand mal and I was at school or wherever, they would take me by ambulance to the hospital. I had a really tough life. And so anyhow, I go off to school. And my college, I said to them, I said, look, I have epilepsy. Is this going to be a problem becoming a teacher? I wanted to be a teacher since I was 10 years old. They said, no problem. So now I'm going to a college in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and I'm teaching at a school not too far away. It was in Arlington, Massachusetts. I walked out of a classroom due to a seizure. Now, I didn't have a grand mal. I didn't fall down. But as I came out of that seizure, I walked back into the classroom. And guess what? 2 weeks later, I get called into Department of Education, and they gave me an excuse. And they said, leave and reapply in 2 years. I said, I'm not going to do that. I said, you accepted me. You knew I had epilepsy. That's not going to happen. I said, I'm almost done with college in my last semester, and you have credits here for counseling, for MSWs. I said, I have to get my head straight. You can't do this to me. So I finished up, instead of graduating that June, I graduated the following August. And I had a tough life for quite a while. I moved back home, and I finally then moved to New York City. And I worked in the garment industry for about 10 years.
What is the garment industry?
The garment industry, they used to manufacture clothing in New York City. And I worked for a company called Movie Star Incorporated. They were very good to me. Every time I had a seizure, oh my God, I'd be sitting there working, and they would wheel me down the hall to the cafeteria. And as soon as I came out of the seizure, I wheeled my chair back to the desk where I was sitting, and I would go back to work. But they were so good to me. They accepted me the way I was. It wasn't a problem. And I'll never forget those people, how they helped me and what they did for me. So anyhow, when I was about 15 years younger, we heard of someone who went through brain surgery for epilepsy. And my mom called my doctor and said, hey, can my daughter have surgery for epilepsy? And he says, no, she could turn into a vegetable. But then 15 years later, he comes back to me. He says, you might be a candidate for this surgery. That surgery was going on in Canada for over 50 years and curing people who had epilepsy. So anyhow, long story short, I went from New York University Hospital to Columbia and then out to Long Island Jewish. And thank you, Lord, I had the brain surgery. I've been seizure-free ever since. So what's the next thing that happens? Oh my God. My first job after living with those almost 25 years of epilepsy, I applied for a job at an insurance company for customer service. They said, you're too bright. We want to put you in claims. Okay. Within 2 weeks, they taught me how to deny claims. And then a month later, after being there for 1 month, I became the supervisor of claims. I worked there for almost 2 years. They had sold out my division to another part of the same name of the insurance company to another division. And I did training down in Richmond, Virginia for that. Then I got another job with another insurance company where I worked there for 10 years. And again, within 2 weeks, and I worked there for claims and underwriting, very interesting job, learned a lot. And after working there for 2 weeks, they taught me how to deny claims. So, okay, I'm denying what I have to, whatever I can to save the money. And then there were people who were in the media or they were publishers, and they would call the insurance company, and the insurance company would then come to me and say, Adria, pay that claim. So I learned, thank you, Lord, how to twist the arms of the insurance companies to get things done and paid. Doesn't always work, but usually it does. Okay. Then I adopted 2 kids from Vietnam, took off some time from work, kept my feet wet, in the insurance business. And then I opened up a billing business through one of my doctors. Said, hey, look, I used to be on the other side denying and paying. Now I want to learn how to submit. So he taught me how to do that, and I worked for him. And then I opened up a billing business. But I got to tell you, the guy who helped me open up that billing business, he worked for SCORE, and SCORE helped me open the business. A year later, he comes back to me after I opened the business, and he says, Adria, he says, I got a bill here for $106,000. Medicare wants that money back. They're going to have a lien on my case. And this guy was in a hospital in a wheelchair that was supposed to be handicap accessible. Well, it wasn't. And he fell down and he went in the hospital twice. Now he's got the bill for $106,000. And he says, I want you to look at this. So I went through the bills. I saw what was related to the injury, what wasn't related, and what was questionable. When I took that related and questionable away, he won his case. And instead of $106,000, he only had to pay back $22,000. Thank you, Lord. Well, that was my clue of what I can do to help people throughout the United States when they have problems with medical bills. I had been amazed saving people millions of dollars annually.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah.
Tell me, it's a wonderful story, but we're like cut for time. So can you tell me a little bit about your book that you've written and what excerpts are from it?
Okay. So what happened was here I like unbelievable. I'm in the media and I really 4 times the Consumer Report's been on CBS. It's just been incredible. So my first book, this guy said to me, Adria, he's like my coach and he takes care of my website. He said, you got to get a book out. So my first book was Solved Curing Your Medical Insurance Problems. And if anybody knows Ralph Nader, he liked it so much he wanted an international edition. It's called Multi-Payer Medicine Nightmare Made in the USA. If you can go online, you go right, onto Amazon and buy my books there. But I also have to tell you, May 23rd was my birthday. I worked on this book for a long time. My next book that just came out on May 23rd is apparently different. Look at how different I was. Here I'm like in chapter 3 of that book. Oh my God. It was involving psychomotor seizures. And one of the stories was I was in a store in college and I had psychomotor seizure. I had this big, heavy, fake fur coat on. I took it off and threw it on the floor. And I'm like running after these women who are making perfume. And my girlfriend who was with me, grabbed my coat and said, "We got to get the hell out of here." That was, we're leaving the store. It was a department store in Boston. We're leaving the store. And I said, "Oh my God, I got to go back and apologize." She says, "No way, we're getting the hell out of here." But I love this new book that came out. I mean, my first two books is really a guide to help people on what to do when your claims are denied, out of network, overcharged, you can't get pre-authorization. I am so grateful that I've been able to educate people. I even lecture before attorneys, financial planners, and CPAs so they can help their clients from going into bankruptcy. So I've been doing that. I'm still doing that. But this next book that's out is so remarkable because it's really asking the public to have respect for those who have a condition. And I hope and pray to God it works. My next book is going to be apparently different for kids because they have to learn at a young age. Don't treat people this way. Have respect. Be kind. Don't be frightened to be their friend.
You know what? You should do it for teachers too, because the teachers learn they learn how to adapt to children, but they don't understand sometimes if a child gets picked on because of their disability. They adapt to certain children, and I know you don't probably get what I'm saying, but my question is this: have you ever heard of a sister organization, a who's who called Power Women of Excellence in New York City?
I don't know. I'm not a part of them. They might have reached out to me at one point. I can't remember.
Well, I just wanted, the reason why I asked is because you deserve to be in that. I would look it up on your own time if that's something you want to pursue, because I'm in there and they have a lot of guest stars that's in there, and they give you a plaque in your own magazine, a section that has a different X of a hard copy of a magazine. But my next question is,
Kimberly, you better send that information to me.
Yes, you just
I want it.
Yeah, I will after the show.
Thank you, my dear.
You're welcome. Where do you see yourself going in the future in under 2 minutes?
I love what I do. I just love what I do. I have clients who call me up and cry because I got them out of the situation of having to claim bankruptcy. There are even times that people have no health insurance. And I would say either I get them down to zero or I lower their bills tremendously. Very often, with my work, very often, I would say the percentage is either zero up to maybe about 20, 25, 30% that they have to pay. And I try so hard, and to be able to prove that these people can't afford it. And I'm telling you, I have been blessed because I know what it's like. I was in Good Housekeeping, and I was one of the 10 badassery women. I was number 7. You look on Good Housekeeping, number 7, badassery women, you'll see me there. But that's the only place where it is printed. I think there might be one more. I was once on food stamps. I know what it's like not to have. I know what it's like to owe all this money. I've been on both sides. And that's why between my health and being healthy now, and after denying all these claims and now being on the other side to help people, I feel so blessed to be out there helping. And I don't ever want to give this up. Until the day that I die, I want to continue doing this.
Well said. And how can the people reach you, Andrea?
Okay. If you look up just my name, Adria Goldman Gross, my website is www.medicalinsurancedvocacy.com. You could call my phone number, 845-978-9493. I'm always here to help. When people call me up, I say to them, hey, tell me what happened. And then when they tell me what happened, I figure out whether or not I can do anything to help them. And then if they want to bring me on, I either charge on an hourly basis or a percentage of the savings. And some people, even when I was in not Good Housekeeping, in Consumer Reports, one of my clients spoke about, hey, I agreed on a percentage, and he says, look what she saved me. I think that he had to pay either $0 or $3,000 out of about $75,000. So I mean, I love it so much because I never ever want anybody to be in that situation. Even when you look at people who are homeless, it's like, no, this can't happen.
Well said. And I have two more questions for you. I'm short for time, but I don't care. So, like, would you recommend epilepsy surgery to anyone, children included, who needs this surgery to continue and stop getting seizures?
Okay, so normally what happens, unless it's really, really severe, they will not do surgery on you until you get to be around the age of an adult, somewhere between 20 and 27, because your brain needs to further develop.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
that makes sense. And if you had last question, if you had to give a piece of advice to an entrepreneur out there, that because let's be honest, you are helping people with insurance that don't have insurance reduce their bills. Usually, on the contrary, people don't do that for people. Even if they're on your side of the field, they don't help people, and because they don't understand what people go through, it's just a job for them. But you have compassion and you care. So tell me, what would you say to the entrepreneur that want to be in your shoes?
First of all, I don't listen. A guy said to me a long time ago, he says, I moved to New York City. He says, you're never going to make it in New York. And you know what? I'm still friends with him today. But in spite of what he said, what did it do? It made me fight, fight, fight. And even with the bills, what do? I fight, fight, fight. You're not going to do this to people. You're not going to allow them to go into bankruptcy. I'm sorry. So all I could tell you is don't ever, ever give up. You have to fight, and you have to really sometimes look, oh, I can't take this anymore. And how am I going to do this? One of the things I'm going to tell you is you always have to be positive. Do not think negative. And that is going to help you in relationships. You have to learn how to be happy within yourself, but that positiveness that you can show other people you won't believe where it's going to take you.
Well said. Stay on the line. You guys, y'all take care. Be safe. Adria is a wonderful woman, and I appreciate her joining my show. Y'all take care. Be safe. I'll be back on here later. Thank you. Bye-bye.